Welcome to our final explainer in the series on the principles for responsible investment. We have covered a ton of ground, and today we are going to pull everything together by looking at the one principle that holds it all together: accountability. So, over the last 5 explainers, we really dug into how investors can weave environmental, social, and governance issues into their work. Today, we're tackling the 6th and final principle, which is the one that makes sure all those actions are actually transparent and, meaningful. Now, this principle, it's not just some nice-to-have suggestion. It's a real commitment. It's the core promise that basically holds this whole framework together, turning good intentions into action you can actually see and verify. To put it simply, it's all about showing your work. But, a promise to report is one thing. What does that actually look like in practice for some of the biggest investors on the planet? It's way, way more than just publishing a glossy newsletter once a year. This is a structured process all about providing clear, detailed info to the key people who really need to see what's going on behind the scenes. Essentially, this is how investors open up their books on their responsible investment practices. It's their formal way of saying, okay, here's what we said we'd do, here's what we actually did, and here are the results. And the audience for this information? It's huge. These reports are so important because they let clients and even beneficiaries, like someone with a pension fund, they let them see exactly how their money is being managed. It's not just about the financial return anymore. It's about understanding the sustainability side of things too. And this right here, this shows a massive global shift. What began as a voluntary thing is now becoming a legal requirement in a lot of places. Governments are stepping in and recognizing, hey, we need more transparency in the financial system. And we're talking about the heavy hitters here, powerful regulators like the EU, the UK's FCA, and the SEC over in the US. These groups are creating rules to make sure investors are being crystal clear and honest about their sustainable practices. It's all about fighting against those vague claims and demanding real, hard data. Okay, so reports are being filed, regulators are watching. But that brings up a really critical question. How can we trust that the information is actually accurate? How do we know it's not just some clever marketing spin? That is a fantastic question, and it really gets to the heart of building trust. The answer? It lies in something called confidence-building measures. Just think of them as a fact-checking system for investment data, designed to make sure everything is legit. The first layer here is the internal audit. This is kind of like the investor's own team doing a super rigorous checkup from the inside. They go through all the data, all the processes, with a fine-tooth comb to make sure everything's in order before it ever sees the light of day. The next step is third-party assurance, and this is where things get really serious. Think of it like having an independent, outside expert come in to grade your homework. They provide an external stamp of approval, which gives the report a much, much higher level of credibility. So the crucial thing to get here is that you have these two systems working hand in hand. The internal audit is the self-check, making sure you're ready for the big test. And the third-party assurance? That's the final exam, graded by an impartial proctor. Together, they build a really powerful case that the data is solid and trustworthy. So this whole process of reporting, regulating, and verifying, it's not just about ticking boxes. It all serves a much, much bigger purpose. It's all about connecting these financial activities to their tangible, real-world effects. We're talking about the impact on people, on communities, and on the planet itself. This is the key concept right here: sustainability outcomes. Every single investment, no matter how big or small, has a consequence. It could be a positive one, like funding renewable energy, or it could be a negative one. Responsible investment is all about measuring and managing those outcomes. So how do investors actually measure this stuff? Well, they align their portfolios with major international frameworks, the ones that kind of provide a blueprint for a better future. We're talking about the UN SDGs, the Paris Agreement on Climate, human rights standards. Now, when people see this list, it often leads to a common myth, that this is all just politically motivated. But the reality is, it's about making informed, risk-adjusted decisions. These frameworks represent a global consensus on major risks and opportunities that are going to affect economies for decades. And this brings us to the biggest misconception of them all. Does building a sustainable system mean you have to sacrifice financial returns? Absolutely not. In fact, it's pretty much the opposite. A sustainable financial system is a more resilient one. By identifying and managing these environmental and social risks that were maybe hidden before, responsible investment actually aims to deliver stronger, more durable returns in the long run. It is not about charity, it's about smart investing. So, how will you see things differently now? Maybe you'll realize this whole approach isn't just for a small group of investors. Even passive and index investors can get in on this through smarter index choices and active stewardship. And yeah, greenwashing is a real concern, but you'll also know that new regulations are creating stricter definitions to fight back against those exaggerated claims. By understanding these principles, we can hold investments accountable and see our own role not as passive bystanders, but as active participants in shaping a more sustainable world. Thanks so much for joining us for this series.